Hello, my name is Alexei. I'd like to make a video by the name 2 Corinthians chapter 11 verse 20, how to spot super apostles. A couple of years ago, I was studying in depth 2 Corinthians. I read it over and listened to it in my car again and again and again. And the thing is, it hit me that the main two main points, well, I should say one point, but one of the main points supporting the other. In Second Corinthians, it does talk about lots of suffering, but the suffering to shows that Apostle Paul was the real apostle. When he mentions about him being stoned so many times, being on a shipwreck, being scourged, it he doesn't just say, "Oh, no, no, no," just for fun. He validates and shows that he's the true apostle, and those super apostles in Corinth are ministers of Satan, and that's the main point of the letter. Because many times, I remember I was reading Second Corinthians, and the interesting part to me is that some people I call this emotionalize, like Second Corinthians chapter 1 verse 3, like, blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of mercies and God of all comfort, who comforts us in all our afflictions, so that we will be able to comfort those who are in any affliction with the comfort with which we ourselves are comforted by God. For just as the sufferings of Christ are ours in abundance, so also our comfort is abundant through Christ. And I was like, start thinking about it, and I was like, wait, Paul did not just, being how you call this, um, saying those things just for fun. He's saying those things to validate his ministries, that he suffered a lot, and those super apostles of false apostles, because by the end of the chapter at verse 24, all of a sudden he starts chipping on those false apostles by saying this in 2 Corinthians chapter 1 verse 24. Not that we domineer over your faith, but we are workers with you for your joy, for in your faith we are standing firm. So at that point, slowly throughout chapters, he starts pretty much in somewhat indirect way attack false apostles, super apostles, so called. But in chapter 11, he goes off on them hard, and he exposes them for who they are. So I'm gonna read 2 Corinthians chapter 11, starting at verse 12 to 21. But what I am doing, I will also continue to do, so that I may eliminate the opportunity from those who want an opportunity to be regarded just as we are in the matter about which we are boasting. For such men are false apostles, deceitful workers, disguising themselves as apostles of Christ. No wonder, for even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. Therefore, it is not surprising if his servants also disguising themselves as servants of righteousness, whose end will be according to their deeds. Again, I say, let no one uh, think me think me foolish, but if you do, receive me even as a fool, so that I Elsa may boast a little. What I'm saying, I'm not saying as the Lord would, but is in foolishness, in this confidence of boasting, since many boast according to the flesh. I will boast Elsa, for you being so wise, tolerate the foolish gladly. Uh, for you tolerate if anyone enslave you, if anyone devours you, if anyone takes advantage of you, if anyone exalts himself, if anyone hits you in the face. To my shame, I must say that we have been weak by comparison. So, but interesting thing, I never really quite fully understood verse 20. The reason is this is because some of the words are mistranslated or have a little bit different meaning or totally wrong meaning. So verse 20, I'm gonna this is what how Paul describes false apostles. For you put up with it if anyone enslaves you. And word enslave in Greek, it's katadaulio. So somebody enslaving you. Think of somebody to reduce to absolute servitude, make a slave of. And you think like, well, in the United States, nobody makes people slaves. Well, just think of this. The borrower is a slave to one whom let me just not misquote it. So the rich rules over the poor, and the borrower becomes the lender's slave. So think of this. If you have to take money, you have to take out a loan, or you have to take some kind of money in order to just pay this 10% or whatever, 20%, which, by the way, in the Old Testament, it was never money. If you're poor, I would say don't pay any money, don't give a preacher your money. If you are poor, you have no obligation to support another grown man, which, by the way, you or any other man have to study the Bible for yourself. Show yourself approved before God. You have to be a good Berean. And all of a sudden, you have to give money to this one man who supposedly teach the Bible, which honestly, for most of the time, what I've seen in the church, there are not even many good preachers. And on top of this, did your preacher ever taught you how to study the Bible for yourself? If he hasn't, just remember the proverb, I think it's American proverb, do not give a man a fish, but teach him how to fish. So the interesting thing is about this is that so enslavement, how does he can enslave you? Well, like I said, he might in some cases actually will get to more points into depth because it's lots of has to do with money and labor for him. The interesting part is that so enslavement could be either due to loan. You have to take out a loan for him because he would preach you gotta give 10% every paycheck, which, by the way, like I said, maybe one day. Or matter of fact, is actually there's so many videos online who can with some. First of all, study your show yourself approved. Just type in tithe in like Bible search and study those verses. Matter of fact, like if you see like the most with some word tithe appear, um, I think it's in pretty much mostly in Deuteronomy or Leviticus. But study those books for yourself, and you will see it's always food or things like this. It's never been a money in the first place. But so he can enslave you. So the super apostles will enslave you. The second word is if anyone devours you. So anyone devours. That's the second one after enslaving. Devours in Greek, it's pronounced ka, katestheo, which means to either eat up, devour, or it also can means emotional abuse. And honestly, like since I'm taking a Greek class right now, that's should be actually number one meaning, emotional abuse. Does the super apostle or cult leader, Christian cult leader, since he's in the church, or I call them mini popes, because technically you have to have plurality of elders in the church, you have to have plurality of pastors, plurality of teachers. It's not a one-man show. But as a one is emotional abuse. Does he use the what's some a pulpit as a like kind of like in indirect way? He would not. He might not even mention your name, but he would use this to bully you from the pulpit. That's emotional abuse right there. The next word, the next I should say thing is that so we just went over for you tolerate if anyone enslave you, if anyone devours you, if anyone takes advantage of you. And this word is lambano. Actually, it's literally like the Greek teacher, she told me that it's actually lambano means get money. In Russian translation, since it's very close to Greek, because modern Greek is a little bit different. Well, not little bit, but quite a lot different to the ancient Greek. But in Russian translation, they actually translate live in one's expense. Live in so get money. So if anyone takes advantage, lambano, of you, it actually means get money or live in one's expense. And if you remember, in Second Thessalonians, I should say First Thessalonians chapter. I think it's chapter 5. Or is it 6? Let me see. Or is it Second Thessalonians? Oh yeah, I'm sorry. That's actually Second Thessalonians chapter 3, and it starts off at let's start at verse 6. Now we command you, brothers and sisters, in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, that you keep away from every brother or sister who leads a disorderly life, and not one in accordance with the tradition which you received from us. For you yourself know how you ought to follow our example, because we did not act in an undisciplined way among you, nor did we eat anyone's bread without paying for it, but with labor and hardship we kept working night and day so that we would not be burden to any of you, nor because we did not have the right to do this to this, but in order to offer ourselves as a role model for you, so that you would follow our example. For even when we were with you, we used to give you this order: if anyone is not willing to work, then he is not to eat either. For we hear that some among you are leading an undisciplined life, doing no work at all, but acting like busybodies. Now we command and exhort such persons in the Lord Jesus Christ to work peacefully and eat their own bread. But as for you, brothers and sisters, do not grow weary of doing good. So, Apostle Paul worked, and but those super apostles, they would get money or live at your expense. Another one is that they would never teach you the Bible, how to study for yourself. They may preach a good sermon here and there, but they would not want you to be a good Berean. They will not teach you being able to discern from good and evil. So next point is which is really bad translation. If anyone exalt himself, it's actually the word is in Greek apairete. So in other translation I saw it's if someone is presumptuous towards you, which is like makes zero sense. So apairete should be to serve for someone else's wealth. So it should be translated: if someone is make you work toward their own wealth, like I'll give you example. Christ teaching this in a parable in Luke 12 verse 13 to 21. Now someone in the crowd said to him, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the family inheritance with me." But he said to him, You there who appointed me a judge or arbiter over the two of you? But he said to them, Beware and be on your guard against every form of greed. For not even when one is affluent does his life consist of his possessions. And he told them a parable, saying, The land of a rich man was very productive, and he began thinking of himself, saying, What shall I do, since I have no place to store up my crops? And he said, This is what I will do. I will tear down my barns and build larger ones, and I will store up all my grain and my goods there. And I will say to myself, You have many goods stored up for many years to come. Relax, eat, drink, and enjoy yourself. But God said to him, "You fool, this very night your soul is demanded of you, and as for all that you have prepared, who will own it now? Such is the one who stored up treasure for himself and not rich in relation to God." But interesting thing is that some of them, um, in my experience, personal experience, they would want you to build up a brand new house for them. That I remember, we used to evangelize every Saturday in a church that I used to go to. But this one gentleman was like, "Hey guys, could you help me to build a new house since my wife wants it?" I'm like, "Okay." But then, they already had a house already. They already had one house, but he wanted a bigger one. Another gentleman wanted build a four car garage, and I was like, "Okay, it's no more evangelism. Now we just building larger garages." Well, in a parables that Christ talks about, he was talking about um, larger barns to store up the grain. But in United States, it's more about larger car garages. Like 4 car garages, 6 car garages, and we're talking about this gentleman being in the ministry. So, and if he works, you know what? Actually, if he works, great, but pay people the wages, because um, it's kind of sad that I've been seeing this in quite few churches where, let's just say, rich people want you to either remodel their house or build a new house. It's just disgusting. It's like I have total sympathy for poor people, and it's interesting thing. And the most interesting thing to me is that there was like a flood in Louisiana, and there was really like one poor man's house, one poor old gentleman's house that we remodeled. And I was like, sure, I'll help the brother out, sure. But there was uh, multiple houses where you can tell, one was like, at least I would say, at least $500,000 house. And it's just like people want to enslave you, in a sense of like, not really enslave you, but really work free for them. um I don't know if you guys know, but the plumbing job, like I used to be in United States US Army in Corps of Engineers, and we built a bunch of stuff. And when I get out, I was like, you know what, maybe try out plumbing, but didn't really like it. But interesting thing is that plumbers, they charge between $50 to up to $100 an hour, which is a lot of money. So people who are like rich with $500,000 houses, um, do not ask other church members, especially if they live in apartments, to either remodel or build a brand new house for you. That's actually, some of the pastors might use you as a, um, how it goes, ap- oh no, aparetai, to serve for someone else's wealth. Like, they might not demand money from you directly, but they want you. Oh, you know how to install a toilet. You know how to do what's some you can install shower. You can install a bathtub. Oh, they're already like thinking, oh man, I can save like a couple of $1,000 Oh, thanks, bro. It's like it's ridiculous and it's very sad. And it's not just in the leadership; it's just throughout. I guess maybe they learn from their leadership and decide to use to that you would serve for their wealth. And I saw quite a few times where it's just like person living in an apartment or person living like literally like um, in a small room with other men in a house, like 3 or 4 men in a house, and you're gonna ask him, "Oh, could you remodel or could you repair a $500,000 house? Oh, I want to save some money." Um, yeah, I remember actually this one brother. He was helping in this one house to repair, but then the owner is like, "Hey, don't just repair it. I want you to remodel it. I want you to actually make this door bigger. I want you to destroy the um, what's some of the walls and make it bigger and make it nicer. And like, I actually want to buy this $5,000 door, really nice." And he's like, he refused. He actually walked out from there. And back then, I didn't know much better, but it's great. It's great that he did that. Um, but this is actually one of the mark of greed and mark of being a false apostle if it's this person is in a leadership. So, as a point, I would like to point out, sad to say, Book of Proverbs been twisted by money-loving preachers who will promise you, if you follow the Proverbs, if you follow the Bible, you will be rich. Those men are going to hell, like Dave Ramsey, for example. Let's read James chapter 3, verse 14 through 18. But if you have bitter jealousy and selfish ambition in your heart, do not be arrogant and so lie against the truth. The wisdom is not that which comes down from above, but is earthly, natural, demonic. For where jealousy and selfish ambition exist, there is disorder and every evil thing. But the wisdom from above is first pure, then peace loving, gentle, reasonable, full of mercy and good fruits, impartial, free of hypocrisy, and the fruit of righteousness, and sown in peace by those who make peace. And the reason is why I would like to bring up Dave Ramsey, because I guess he's like the most popular, um, I guess I would say, false teacher, twisting Proverbs or the rest of the book of the Bible just to make people rich. And this is why that I believe he's a false teacher. In First Timothy chapter 6, verse 3 to 8, it says this: if anyone advocates a different doctrine and does not agree with sound words, those of our Lord Jesus Christ, and with the doctrine conforming to godliness, he is conceited and understands nothing, but he has a sick craving for controversial questions and disputes about words, from which comes envy, strife, abusive language, evil suspicions, and constant friction between people of depraved mind and deprived of the truth. Notice, those who like people of depraved mind and deprived of the truth, who suppose that godliness is a means of gain. Think about it. If somebody tells you, hey, if you study the Bible, you will have money. You're going to have lots of money. you're gonna study the special book of Proverbs. It will help you to grow your business. It will, pretty much you'll become rich. That's a false teacher. And with tickling people with the tickling ears will follow this guy blindly because they also are covetous. They want more. Because what does it say later on? So let me read verse 5 till 8. And constant friction between people of depraved mind and deprived of the truth, who suppose that godliness is a means of gain, but godliness actually is a means of great gain when accompanied by content. For we have brought nothing into the world, so we cannot take anything out of it either. If we have food and covering, with those we shall be content. So, if you have food and covering, if you have place to live, you shall be content. That's what the Bible teaches. And if you want more, well, ultimately it's up to God. But at the same time, United States, you can easily, not easily, but you might have to put some work in, but you can make money in United States. So, going back to our super apostles, interesting thing is that I was studying Proverbs and I was like thinking about it, like talks about rich and poor quite a bit, but then one verse is like talks about some people perceive that they are poor but yet they are rich, and something thinks that they are rich while they are poor. And then I was like thought about Book of Revelation. There's like one church which was spiritually rich but was in poverty, was in physical poverty. And then the other church in I think it was Laodicea, it was physically rich but yet spiritually poor. So when next time you read Proverbs, do not think of how to get rich, but think of I would argue that in Proverbs it describes false religion versus true religion, and some of like adulterous women in a book of Proverbs are apostate religions, apostate Christians, apostate Christianity, I would say. I'll give you example. In Proverbs chapter 5, verse 1 through 14, it says this. And once again, think of, I'm going to commentate little by little. So Proverbs chapter 5, starting at verse 1. My son, pay attention to my wisdom, incline your ear to my understanding, so that you may maintain discretion and your lips may comply with knowledge. For the lips of an adulteress drip honey, and her speech is smoother than oil. Notice, the false teachers feel like, oh, they talk smooth. Oh, study the Bible. You study especially Proverbs, so you may become rich. I don't have a smooth tongue, but you know what I'm talking about. You probably heard some of them, like Joel Osteen, bunch of other false teachers. But continue on. But in the end, notice, in the end, she is bitter as wormwood, sharp as two-edged sword. Did you know, like in a Hebrews, the Bible compares to the two-edged sword, but then in the end, it's interesting that the Bible can pierce through the heart, through the joints, the spiritual joints. So This guy also coming back to the um, words can be emotional abusive. He could use the Bible to emotionally abuse you. He can twist the Bible. This false religion, this super apostle, will twist the Bible to emotionally abuse you, to make you think that you're disobeying God, to make you think that you like God loves a cheerful giver. Why are you not cheerful when you don't give? Why you don't give in the first place? It's just, have you not read Malachi? Huh? No, they can twist the Bible and use it as a two-edged sword, sharper as a two-edged sword. They make think that you like a worstest human being on earth for not giving them money. So continue on. So Proverbs 5 verse 4 and continue. But in the end, she is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. Her feet go down to death. Her steps take hold of Sheol. By the way, in Old Testament, Sheol, it's kind of like a grave, because to the Old Testament saints, deductions about hell and heaven has not been revealed yet at that time. Sheol should not be translated as hell. It's more of a grave, or the afterlife. But continue on, verse 6. She does not ponder the path of life. Her ways are unstable. She does not know it. Now then, my son, listen to me and do not turn away from the words of my mouth. Keep your way far from her, and do not go near the door of her house. Notice, do not go near false religion. It's like sometimes, turn off that Dave Ramsey. He will lead you to hell. You will be thinking about how to get out of debt free for the rest of your life, how to just pay cash all the time, this bunch of garbage, and you're gonna waste precious time of not studying of how to know the Lord more deeper, but you're gonna be wasting your time of how to become richer, wealthier, be earthly minded, loving the world and the things of this world. That's what you're gonna be spending the time on. But continue on. Verse 9. So chapter 5, verse 9. Otherwise, you will give your vigor to others and your years to the cruel one. It's interesting that I call them super apostles can be cruel. They can emotionally abuse you from the pulpit. They can twist the Bible to make you think that you apostate by not giving them money, not helping them to build a luxurious house, by not giving them money so they could buy a brand new car for each person in their family. No. They can make the Bible sharper as two-edged sword and twist the Bible, and you're thinking like, oh man, I'm apostate. I'm going to hell because I haven't been tithing. No, absolutely not. Continue on. And strangers will be filled with your strength, and your hard-earning possessions will go to the house of a foreigner. So you'll be working hard, you're going to be giving 10 or 20%, and they will take those hard-earning wages that you've been working for and waste it on their luxury, and will not even teach you how to study the Bible, and not even tell you what kind of translation you should read. They might tell, oh, read the Message Bible, or NIV, read some NIV. Horrible. If you're like brand new Christian, first get just like NASB or ESV, like two good translations right there for beginners. And then later on, like interlinear Bibles and Greek and or Hebrew, whatever. But anyway, so and your hard-earned earned possessions will go to the house of a foreigner, and you will groan in the end. Oh, just wait. If you're part of the cult, like this mini pope, the super apostle church, you will groan in the end. He might, in some cases, this super apostle, this so-called pastor of yours, he might, commit adultery with your wife, and you'll be giving him money so that he could buy a brand new car, so he could drive and commit adultery with your wife, and you will groan in the end. Verse 11, when your flesh and your body are consumed, and you say, how I hated instruction, and my heart disdainfully rejected rebuke. I did not listen to the voice of my teachers, nor incline my ear to my instructors. I was almost in total ruin in the midst of the assembly and congregation. And once again, adulterous woman represents a false religion. And in the end, people who throughout your life rebuke you like, this guy is horrible, run away from that guy. In the end, you'll be groaning, you're going to be in total ruin. You'll be like, I wasted so many years in that church. Yeah, that's what you get. Because the easiest, once again, the easiest to me, like to spot like this preacher, false apostle, super apostle, he will never teach you how to study the Bible for yourself. He wants you to rely upon him. That's the easiest one. And I have a video previously about how to study the Bible. Actually, a couple of videos, like if you just look up the 2 Corinthians, I have 2 videos how to study 2 Corinthians. I have a video about how to study the writings of John. But, who cares, right? Anyway, then this other one, like I said, in Proverbs, bad women are representing false religions or false religion ultimately, but the false religion, the false Christianity can be manifested in multiple ways. Like, for example, Joel Osteen, he's a false prophet. He preaches health, wealth, and prosperity. You have, for example, John Hagee, who preaches, send money to Israel, give money to modern Israel. That's another false teacher. Then there's a bunch of other ones, but it's like different preachers preach false. Or Dave Ramsey, like, hey, study the Bible so you could be debt-free. Set debt-free so you could, buy a brand new car or whatever your evil heart desires. If you're outside of Christ and if you don't have a Holy Spirit in you. But so Proverbs chapter 9 verse 13 through 18. A woman of foolishness is boisterous. She has a lack of understanding and knoweth nothing. She doesn't know nothing about spirituality. She doesn't know nothing about true faith. She will just talk about earthly, natural things. How to improve your marriage, okay? Even unbelievers, you go to like atheist psychologists, he can improve your marriage. Go tell this to Prophet Hosea how to improve his marriage. Oh wait, God commanded to marry a a prostitute, that she will conceive children, and those children will not be Hosea's children. Tell him to improve the marriage. Huh? So she does know nothing about the true faith, true Christianity. It's all about earthly self-improvement, earthly wealth, earthly love of the world and the things of this world. She doesn't know nothing about the true Christianity. Continue on. Verse 14, so Proverbs 9, verse 14. She sits at the doorway of her house, on a seat by the doorway of her house. She sits on a doorway of her house, on a seat by the high places of the city. So it's funny that a couple of months ago, I went to Spokane, Washington for work, and it's interesting. Like, I had a couple of Russian churches, but the ones that actually I wanted to go to was actually kind of a little bit far away. I had to walk, but interestingly, throughout like downtown area, it's just so many false churches. It's like one church endorses homosexuals, other ones like prosperity gospel, and they were right at the downtown area, right in the middle, high places. So like advertisement of like easily spotted of false church could be huge, right in the middle of a downtown or some kind of like important area where everybody passes by. Continue on, verse 15. Calling to those who pass by, who are going straight on their paths. Whoever is naive, let him turn in here. And to him who lacks understanding, she says, stolen water is sweet. By the way, in my opinion, like stolen water is sweet, it's plagiarism. Some preachers will not study the Bible. They would plagiarize. They would steal other men's sermons. In some cases, they would even steal a good sermon by somebody. By using just internet. They would not study for themselves. So stolen water is sweet. So she doesn't know much. The true faith, like she would be, this false religion would be sitting where everybody passes by on the high places in a city, and stolen water is sweet. Sometimes she would plagiarize sermons, or some pastors they just unashamedly would buy sermons and they would preach sermons without studying them. They just want money, bluntly speak. So Proverbs 9 verse 17. Stolen water is sweet, and bread eaten in secret is pleasant. But he does not know that the dead are there, that her guests are in the depth of Sheol. And once again, dead. Of course, she would not have like bunch of dead people, dying, laying around. No, it's spiritually dead. The congregation of the dead, like spiritually dead people. Who was never been born again. One person is truly born again. I would not be surprised. It's like 1,000 members in this one church, and there's not one of them are born again. Like think of a PCUSA, Presbyterian Church of the United States, where they they actually promote homosexuality, and they are fine with ordaining women. But actually, it just popped into my mind. I haven't finished 2 Corinthians, but the last one. So 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 19. So if you being so wise, tolerating the foolish gladly, if you tolerate it, if anyone enslave you, if anyone devours you, if anyone takes advantage of you, if anyone exalts himself, if anyone hits you in the face. In the United States, predominantly, there's no like physical abuse. Like as far as I know, if somebody physically trying to abuse you, trying to punch you, like in some sense, let's just say if I'm like the super apostle, and like let's just say I used to do like I actually still continue doing like martial arts, kickboxing, wrestling, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and be like, you know what? To show how powerful I am, let's just have like a boxing match against somebody who either never trained in their life or just super weak, tiny guy. That actually some churches they do have like boxing, which is fine. I have no problem with boxing, but when if a minister wants a match or fight against somebody who is much weaker, much unskilled against them, that's a problem. That's a big problem. But if somebody literally strikes you on the cheek or smacks you, that's a false apostle. That's a super apostle, like in a church, whatever. Physically abuse you. It's technically disqualify him automatically from being a minister of God. Automatically, no questions asked. He strikes you, um, pushes you super hard. That's automatic disqualification should be. And also the last word, like when you study the Proverbs once again, look at in Proverbs, like for example, I would argue Proverbs 32. This woman is a type or a shadow of the church. It's not a real woman. There's so many women trying to pursue to become this Proverbs 30. I'm sorry, is it 31 or 32? Thanks. Thanks. Um, okay, yeah, that's yeah. Proverbs 31 wife, yeah. Everybody trying to become Proverbs 31 wife, which is a type of shadow of the church. Because look, it's literally you have to work from sun up to sun down. Not even sun up. She was actually working before even sun up. And she was like like literally 24 hours. And it's just like some preachers by misinterpreting Proverbs 31 woman, they put such a heavy burden upon them. It's horrible. Stop. It's a shadow or a type of a church. Proverbs 31 wife. Stop. It's impossible. It's impossible for any woman to complete it. So that's it. Hope it's been a blessing. Stay away from false apostles, ministers of Satan, and just a brief recap. So they will financially enslave you. Number one, they may abuse you emotionally, maybe even using a Bible to twist the Bible, trying to be like pulpit. Then other one is trying to get money from you or live in your expense. Other one is to serve for someone else's wealth. They would try to make you build their dream house or just on a regular basis just cut some wood for them or something like that. Something that if they cannot get money out of you, they will put you to work for free and will never pay you. They will think that, oh, I'm a pastor of the church. you got to you got to give me you got to work for me, you got to clean my kitchen, you got to make a breakfast for me, things like that. Ridiculous. That's a super apostle, full minister of Satan, because Christ didn't come to be served but to serve himself. If you want to be the greatest in Christ's kingdom, make yourself a slave to all. And the last one is to beat up somebody. And once again, uh, I haven't seen many like physical abuse, but if a pastor or so-called minister or so-called bishop strikes you, that's automatically disqualify him as from being in the ministry. So hope it helped. That's it. Have a nice day. Bye bye.